Does the person you are with encourage you to read? You have to ask, what does he bring for me? Roses or books? If someone has a stake in making you better, that person will push you towards books. Books are what we all need.
Good evening, sir. I am Nandraj, a second year student at NIT-Jamshedpur. So my question is, what is your views on financial literacy of current generation? Like, should financial awareness be added in our college curriculums?
Your generation is much more financially literate than any of the previous ones. It's just that more than finance, it is about values. You want to buy something, and there can be 3 ways, let's say, to finance the purchase. It's one thing to know which way is the best, and it's an altogether different thing to know whether the thing is worth buying at all. That's where your generation falters. You know a bit of finance, you do, but you don't know the value of anything. To you, finance is about knowing the price and managing the price, while life is about realizing the value. And price and value rarely go together. You have all the eyes for price. You don't have much of an appreciation of value. So the result is that you make very, very solid financial decisions about buying or selling, rather buying worthless crap. Great and very, very smart way of buying crap. The fellow has cracked a great deal. In which he could manage to buy crap. The deal is wonderful, but what you have brought home is crap. The fellow has access to an online tool, and that is telling him how much must he save every month and how much must he deposit from his quarterly bonus, so that at the age of 50 he has a corpus worth retiring. But he does not know what to do really till the age of 50 or after the age of 50. He does not know what retirement means because he never knew what work means. And if work really is work, will it ever allow you to retire? That fellow does not know that. But what he knows quite smartly is that if you put this much here, this is how mutual funds operate, this is how international markets operate, and I can also do some intraday trading on the stock exchange, and if I do all this quite smartly, then I'll be able to save this much. What will you do by saving that much? Yes, of course, you will manage saving all that. What will you do with that? That is a question that has never been answered. And that is the most fundamental question. Without answering that question, all other questions and answers are purely worthless. One fellow, one of these, what do you call them? The ones who drive opinions on social media, influencers. One of these financial influencers, a very big one really. He was asked, what do you think must be the direction of life for a young person? He says, I do not think so much. All I want is that all should manage to achieve their targets. What an answer. He says, everybody succeeds in achieving his targets, the nation and the society will anyway move in the right direction and there will be growth. But in absence of a value system, you will never realize what to pick as your target. And that's everything. What to devote your life to. What else is life for? Life is not something you can just sit and eat from. Life is like this body. It needs to work. If it doesn't work, what happens to it? One great way to kill you is by confining you in a room full of luxuries and saying you will be given the best food to eat and no work to do and all the time to sleep and entertain yourself. Within 4 or 6 months, you will drop dead. That tells you something about life. Life, in some sense, is like a machine. It exists for the sake of an output. What kind of output? That's for your discretion to decide. Life is like a car. It can't keep standing at one place. You can't say, beautiful thing, let it stand here. Let me polish it, service it. Let it stand here. We are supposed to work, toil, exert yourself. We are supposed to exert ourselves so much that we finish ourselves off in the endeavor. I know this is not probably the answer you wanted. You were emphasizing on financial literacy. But there is already more financial literacy that I see among you chaps than I saw among my batchmates or in myself. So I don't think that's a big concern. You fellows are already much more money-minded. Without knowing what money means and without knowing what to do with that money. Not that we were any better, not that we necessarily knew. But because you are smart chaps, so our expectations from you are higher. We are comparatively dumb, obviously. And see where you are getting your financial literacy from. And it's not just literacy that you are getting from here and there. You are actually getting your financial objectives from the places that should give you just knowledge. Instead of knowledge, they are giving you objectives. So on YouTube, you have thumbnails where this so-called financial advisor is portraying himself, displaying cash like cards. So he's standing with, rupees and dollars, those notes and bills in his hands. And you are supposed to listen to him. In fact, were we a society with any sense, that thumbnail should have sufficed to kill that video. What kind of person that would be who can put himself on a thumbnail holding dollars in his hand? What are you? A mungfali vendor or what? And then you buy your literacy from there. Instead of making you literate, he just makes you greedy. Value. Understand life, see what is it that you must go after. Finance is really not so complicated. Unless you are working in the financial markets or something, you don't need financial education beyond a point. What fails you is not financial illiteracy, but lack of value education. What you call as finance is mostly just arithmetic, right? So it's not something that is extremely complex. So much is coming from here, so much is going there. Of course, it can get complicated when you get into derivatives trading and stuff of that kind, but not many people anyway get there. In ordinary life, what brings you down is your greed, is your ignorance towards life itself.
Then what is the difference between financial literacy and the values that you were talking about? What's the difference?
You want to buy a car, and you already have a car, you want to sell it. Now it's one of the classical problems in finance management. Should you sell this one off? Should you buy a new one, or should you simply lease a new one? And you develop scenarios, and in those scenarios you try to see which one is the best and what is the criteria for an option being the best. It should give you the maximum positive financial return, right? So that's how finance operates. That's how finance operates. Value education is when you try to see whether you really need a car, or what is it within you that needs a car. Where did the basic urge to dispose of your existing one and buy a new one came from? And financial management does not go into that. It might turn out that you want a new car just because your brother-in-law has bought a new one. That's value education. To understand who you are and why exactly are you valuing a certain object. Once you have seen that an object is really valuable, after that comes the role of financial management. But you cannot have a good financial sense without any sense of values. It might be, for example, financially better to buy something from the US rather than India. Value inquiry is about asking, does that thing have value enough to be bought? What really is the value in that? Why must I go for it? And if I have to go for it, then I will, definitely. But do I need to? And if I feel very strongly about pursuing that object or that good or that goal, where did my desire come from? I never always had this desire. Surely it sprang up someday from somewhere. What caused it? That's value literacy. More than financial literacy, we need to be value literate. Otherwise, you can be financially very smart and yet a huge idiot. Huge idiot. Remember that the two big financial crises that we have faced in this century were both caused by top end finance professionals, very, very smart people, and they caused the economies of the entire world to sink because they didn't have values, they didn't know what is valuable. So their smarts were of no avail.